Kramer was dying to look at McCoy, but decided to be cool and professional. What does a rat look like when he's listening to himself being a rat, in a room full of people who know he's a rat, going wired to see his girlfriend? Unconsciously but profoundly, Kramer was relieved. Sherman McCoy, this WASP, this Wall Street aristocrat, this socialite, this Yale man, was as much of a rat as any of the drug dealers he had wired up to go rat out their species. No, McCoy was more of a rat. One doper didn't expect much from another. But in these upper reaches, upon these pinnacles of propriety and moralism, up in the stratosphere ruled by the pale, thin-lipped WASPs, honor presumably was not a word to be trifled with. Yet back to a wall they turned rat, just as quickly as any lowlife. This was a relief, because he had been troubled by what Bernie Fitzgibbon had said. Suppose the case had not, in fact, been invested carefully enough. Maria Ruskin had corroborated Roland's story before the grand jury, but in his heart he knew he had pushed her pretty hard. She had put her in a small, tight box so fast she might have... He preferred not to finish the thought. The knowledge that Mr. McCoy was at bottom nothing but a rat with a better resume put his mind at rest. McCoy was caught in this particular mess because it was his natural milieu, the filthy nest of a defective character. Having assured himself of the rightness of his cause, Kramer treated himself to some positive resentment of this big pseudo-aristocrat who now sat only a few feet from him, filling up the room with his rat aroma. As he listened to the two voices on the tape, the aristocratic hunk of Mr. McCoy and the southern girl drawl of Maria Ruskin, it didn't take too much of imagination to figure out what was going on. The pauses, the breathing, the rustling about. McCoy, the rat, had taken this gorgeous foxy creature into his arms, and this apartment on East 77th Street, where they were meeting, these people on the Upper East Side had apartments just for their pleasures, while he still searched his brain and his pockets for some place to accommodate the yearnings of Miss Shelley Thomas. The beauty and the rat talked on. There was a pause while she left the room to fix him a drink, and a scraping noise as he apparently touched his hidden microphone. The rat. The voices resumed, and then she said, "There's a lot of people like to hear this conversation." Not even Kovitsky could resist looking up around the room at that one, but Kramer refused to oblige him with a smile. Maria Ruskin's voice droned on. Now she was whining about her marriage. Where the hell was this tape supposed to be leading? The woman's complaints were boring. She had married an old man. What the hell did she expect? Idly, he wondered. He could see her, as if she were right here in the room. The languorous way she crossed her legs, the little smile, the way she looked at you sometimes. All at once, he was jerked alert. A man from the Bronx District Attorney's office came around to see me today, with two detectives. Then, a pompous little bastard. Whoa, he was stunned. A scalding tide rose up in his neck and face. Somehow it was the little that wounded him most. Such a contemptuous dismissal, and him with his mighty sternocleidomastoids. He lifted his eyes to search out the faces of the others, ready to laugh defensively if anyone else happened to look up and smile at such outrageousness. But no one looked up, least of all McCoy, whom he would have gladly throttled. He kept throwing his head back and doing something weird with his neck, like this, and looking at me through these little slits for eyes. What a creep. His face was now scarlet, aflame, boiling with anger and worse than anger, dismay. Someone in the room had made a sound that might be a cough and might be a laugh. He didn't have enough heart to investigate. "Bitch," said his mind, consciously, but his nervous system said, "Wanton destroyer of my fondest hopes." In this little room, full of people, he was suffering the pangs of men whose egos lose their virginity, as happens when they overhear for the first time a beautiful woman's undiluted, full-strength opinion of their masculine selves. What came next was worse. "He made it real simple, Sherman," the voice on tape. "He said if I were to testify against you and corroborate the other witness, he'd give me immunity. If I didn't, then I'll be treated as an accomplice, and they charged me with these felonies."